Welcome to another episode of Chatting with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Bobby Luisi. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Bill?
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you for having me on tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
It was kind of a short notice, but I got ready for you, brother.
Yeah, of course, man.
Now, listen,
You're old. Yeah.
Go ahead. I thought you were coming up to the feast this weekend. Last week.
I was supposed to, man. I got caught up doing things down here,
Yeah, no, I understand that. I understand.
How was it?
It was great. I haven't been to a feast in over 20 years. I was away all those years and seen everybody in the neighborhood, and I felt like the old Bobby again. It felt good,
Yeah, they're having one where I live soon. I'm gonna go to that one.
Yeah, they're nice. I like the festivals.
Yeah, I'll come up there again, man. We'll hang out.
It was good to be back in my old neighborhood that I used to run in the North End,
Yeah.
I'll never be a boss again, but it still felt good meeting everybody again and talking with everybody. But it was nice. It was really nice.
Yeah, you get a lot of good feedback from people, I've noticed.
Well, really nobody has too much to say about me. Some guys try to call me a rat, but then they seen, I went to trial twice to save my life,
Yeah.
They can say whatever they want about me. I really, really don't care, but I get all positive feedback from people because I'm positive. I don't get involved with the nonsense with everybody. I don't listen to people and worry about what they have to say because you're always going to have critics,
Yeah,
So
definitely.
for the most part, I got great followers. They're really good viewers. They're really good people. And I enjoy doing this.
Yeah, I like doing it too, man. But
Are you answering questions tonight?
Huh? Yeah, I'll get some questions for you. Yes, this is live tonight. If you guys got questions for Bobby, just let me know and I'll put them up. What's up, Yankees for life? DJ. Just people just saying what up. Do you want to go over a little bit of your story and your background and how you ended up in going to Philly?
Yeah, we could talk about that. I don't mind talking about that. Well, I grew up, I was born in the North End, the Italian section of Boston. Like I said before, my father was a gangster. And I grew up with gangsters all around me all my life. 11 years old, I worked for the Angiulo family in Rome Vending and Ronnie Romanowski. I used to do the dime machines and the cigarette machines and everything. So I was always exposed to gangsters in that life. And then growing up and in my teens, I was Bobby Luisi's son and well respected by all the wise guys in the neighborhood and other neighborhoods, wherever I went. And I really liked that. But around the age like 16, I felt like they were kind of grooming me. I was hanging around the gangsters every day. But my love was carpentry. I wanted to be a builder. So I used to go to work after school and then finally quit school at 16. I was making $400 or $500 a week, taking home as much as a union carpenter at the time,
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. I loved that. And the more I got away from what my father was doing, I was getting more into the construction. And by the time I was 20 years old, I had a builder's license, my own construction company, and, it went from there. And then I went to the Vineyard, was specking houses down there, building houses for people in the 80s. And the market crashed at the end of the 80s. When the market crashed, I lost everything. I came back home with 2 kids, a minivan, and $100 in my pocket. So I put a gun on my back and I went back out on the street. So by 1990, I was back on the street.
And you had people that were already in the street that you could go back to, right?
Yeah, well, I was a Luisi, so it was pretty easy for me to get back in there. So right away, I started bookmaking, opened up card clubs. I was in East Boston, the North End. Had a club at Somerville. I was making the rounds pretty good up there. I was starting to build a little empire for myself. Before you know it, I was flipping kilos like they were nickels and just making money. And, made a lot of money. And my power base kept growing.
How fast did when you got back and you started going back into the street, how fast did things escalate into that life?
Well, right away, there was violence right away when I got back. I wasn't even a May guy then, there was some violence, was involved in a shooting. A few things happened. And like I said, I had two clubs. I had a social club in the North End, one in East Boston at one time. We were selling cocaine. I started a little shy business. We had the bookmaking business. And, things started getting crazy. In 93, there was a shooting in East Boston. Richie Devlin got killed. And that's when the war up there in Boston really started blowing up about 93. And we all got involved in that. And a lot of people got killed up there at that time.
This it's live. Everyone keeps asking, this pre-recorded. No, this is live. You can ask questions if you want. Like, people are like, no, this is pre-recorded. It's live, man. So was there when your father and all them got killed in the restaurant?
Yeah.
Were you heavily involved at that time?
Oh yeah, I had my own crew. I had a big crew at that time, and we were all over the suburbs. I had people down in Connecticut. I had people up in Maine. We were really building. I was building at that time. At that time, too, my father was still just a neighborhood guy, running the neighborhood. And I had bigger aspirations, and I had a business mind to do different things.
Yeah. So how long after you came back from out building did you go back to go down to Philly? And what was the reason for you to go to Philly? Why wouldn't you go to New York? And because I heard rumors that you were supposed to be with the Gambinos.
Well, I'll tell you the story. If you want to hear it, I'll tell you the story. A good friend of mine, Jerry Cormet, he's the Frenchman in Rhode Island. Very well-known guy years ago. Dangerous guy. He had a friend, Giggsy, that was associated with the Gambinos. And Angelo Emilio was a captain with the Gambinos, but he was in prison. So Giggsy set up a meeting and went to talk to Peter Gotti. And Peter told him, he says, tell Bobby that I can't help him up there because, commission rules, there's already a family up there. In the meantime, a good friend of mine, Frank Ross, I heard he just passed away. Bad guy, he did something for me years ago. And Frankie was in prison with Ralph Natali, who ended up becoming the boss of the family. Well, Joey was the boss, but he was Joey's front guy, Molino's front guy in Philly. So I went down and met Ralphie. I met Ralphie a few times. Then I met George Borghese. He was a capo in the family. And from there, I went and met Joey. And, we just all got along good together. You got to remember, Philly was just coming off a war, and we were just coming off a war in Boston. So we had a lot of common at the time, And, of course, we had to go through the procedures. They checked me out. I got proposed in the family. And Joey was very strict with that. I had to wait certain times of being proposed, then being made, then becoming a captain. It didn't happen overnight, So we went through those procedures, and I became a May guy in the family. And then after I became made, they were introducing me as capo. And right after that, we came up to Boston. There were two separate meetings and made all my guys. And my guys were made up in Boston. So that's how we put my crew together.
So there's some reports that people are saying that that you bought your button. Some people are saying 50,000. Some people are saying 100,000.
I know. I think it's funny, Bo. I don't know how people actually think that you could go out of nowhere, from nowhere, and buy a button from somebody. I mean, it's nonsense. What happened? I'll tell you a story. I was already proposed, and the meeting was happening anytime. And I stood at the hotel at Parker Ave, next to Veteran Stadium. There's a hotel over there. I'm sure it's still there. I think it was a Holiday Inn. I'm not sure. So Joey calls me. He said, I'm coming by with someone. Could you meet me downstairs? So I went down, and he was with the kid Steven Snitch. Great kid, really nice kid. You know, he was always around us. He grew up with Joey and all the guys. And I know Steven was involved in developing. And Joey know I had an interest in that. I used to do that. You know, me and Joey used to talk. And so he brought Snitch to me. He said, listen, Bobby, listen to what he has to say. Maybe you might want to get involved with you know what he's doing. He wants to pick up some more. You know, in Philly, they have all row houses. They're all townhouses. You know,
Yeah.
He said he wants to pick up a few more. He wants to start expanding, but he needs more capital. So I talked to Snitch about it, you know, and I was thinking about it. And, you know, they asked for 100,000. Not they, Snitch did. Joey really had nothing to do with it. But like I said, he's a childhood friend. So I came back up to Boston and I grabbed Didi. Didi was a main guy in the Patriarca family, but we were partners at some things. I says, Didi, what do you think? Should we send 100 down there? You know, I think it might be a good idea because I really wanted a house down there, a townhouse myself in South Philly. You know, I figured if I gave them the money to Snitch, and like I said, I don't know if the other guys were involved. I don't think so, the way they were talking, but I could grab one of the row houses for myself, you know.
Yeah.
I talked to Didi about it. Didi says, you know, Bobby, we need the capital up here. Like, you know, we got to leave the money up here. So I said, you know something, you're right. I thought about it, and I decided not to do the deal. And I called Snitch down in Philly, and I told him to come up to Boston. So to help him out, I think it was 15,000. I put it in a paper bag. He came up, let him meet some people, and I gave him the 15,000. I said, I know you're stuck. Here's 15 to get you started. And I send him back to Philly the same day. He gets on the train, goes back down to Philly. Then, I don't know, like a week or two later, Georgie came up. I says, you know what? Tell them I'm not interested. I'm not going to get involved. But Didi took the story out the street that they were asking me for 100,000 to get made. So I grabbed these. So what are you talking about, Paul? I talked the whole deal with you, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. There were just guys in Boston that were mad that I made this move to Philly. And they were trying to put me down any way they could. They had no other way, you know? So that rumor got out. It was nonsense, you know, and that's about it with that rumor. I don't know where they come up with 50,000. They come up with 100,000. Believe me, I didn't need the button that bad. And Joey would have never took money to make me, believe me. Joey's like a monster.
So have you, since you've been around these guys, have you heard of people paying for their button?
Not in the Philly mob, no. I never heard that, but I heard it up in Boston, and I heard, you know, maybe several years ago, I heard about a guy that paid 40,000 up here to get a button. You know, so I don't know how true it is. So I'm not going to mention names, but you know, the guy's got money. He had money at the time. He's got businesses. You know, I don't know why people would want to buy a button and get in that life if you're already successful. You know, I just don't understand it.
Yeah,
I had reason. Yeah.
Yeah, the button would help you, like move you along, but it would kind of hamper you if you had a lot of money too. Like,
yeah, why would you do that?
On your back.
My reason was I got a cocaine business that's worth millions of dollars. I got about $1 million on the street. You know, I want to get my crew made and set my family up. That's why I went down to Philly, or I would have went with the Gambinos if Peter had taken me. You know, because what happens in this life, and you can see by all these guys trolling and all this bullshit on here, is that you could be a killer, the worst guy in the world. If you're not a made guy, you're not one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was a bad guy on the street, and I did want that at the time, you know, and I went and got it. But I got it because I deserved it. I made my bones long before I went to Philly, my friend, you know.
Yeah.
And you know how bad that crew is down there.
Like, you've been putting in work for a long time. I don't think they're going to come take a slouch, man. Like,
no.
You know?
Listen, you got to remember something. Joey Merlino was in the can with all these Boston wise guys. Don't you? They checked my background, what I was running, what I was doing. They knew everything down there that was going on. because these guys love to give up information. And when Joey came up, there were several wise guys around us from the Petriacca family all the time. You know, so they loved and respected Joey.
Were they mad that you were starting your own crew up there?
My own crew, my own family. Oh, yeah, they were upset. I mean, you have to remember something. It's pride. The Petriacca family has been up here since 1955. The Black Hand started in Boston. At one point, it was one of the strongest in the country. And now I come along and I upset that apple cart. So, you know, they didn't like it. They really didn't like it that I did that. But the family was in disarray, and I took advantage.
Damian Trites wants to know what rank was Paul Tanzo?
He was a soldier in my crew.
What's up, Damian?
Hi, Damian. Good question.
So when you were after you went to that program, right, and you were locked up with these high-ranking guys, who were some of the names that you were locked up with?
I was with Richie Cantarella from the Bonanno family. Excuse me. Frankie Lino. I love Frankie Lino. He was a capo in the Bonanno family. He's the one that told me about the whole Donnie Brasco movie. Remember in Donnie Brasco, they were cutting the bodies up in the cellar and they killed the 3 captains?
Yeah.
Well, those guys weren't even in there. Sonny Black wasn't even in there. Frankie Lino was in there. Frankie Lino told me when he brought the captains in, he didn't realize that it was a hit. So they thought he thought he was getting killed in there too. So it was a cellar apartment or wherever they were. He jumped out the window onto the sidewalk, rolled over, and started running. So Joe Messina, who was the boss of the family, said, "Where you going?" You know? And he just kept running and running. And he was a soldier at that time. He wasn't a captain.
Boy, as they started shooting, he ran.
He jumped out a window. Frankie Lino jumped out the window, rolled over, and ran. It's a true story. Frankie told me himself. And this is how much bullshit's in a lot of these movies and a lot of the social media stuff. And Frankie ran away. They call him in. So Joe says to him, "Did you tell anybody what happened?" He said, "No, of course not." He said, "We're going to make you a captain." So after that hit, he got made a captain. Yeah. He made him
after running down the street, man.
Well, listen, he didn't know what was going on. There's bullets flying, you know. He just jumped out the window. I mean, what are you going to do? He tried to save his own life. He didn't know what was going to happen. He didn't have a gun on him, thank God, because he might have shot, you know. But Frankie was a good old man. So he ended up being a capo in that family for years.
People keep asking if you know Anthony Ramundi.
Anthony Ramundi. I don't think so. It sounds familiar. Who's Anthony?
He's he was in the Colombo family. He's always on my show. He's always on my show.
Yeah, I've seen him on the show. I didn't know him personally, no. No, I didn't know him personally.
Yeah, he's got a lot of he's causing a lot of controversy lately, man.
Why? What's he doing?
He's just, I don't know, making some crazy crazy
claims.
Yeah, I mean it's to me it's funny, man. I enjoy Anthony's stories. People get all pissed off. I mean, I don't get it.
Listen, you know what? Let him tell it the way he wants to tell him. You believe him, you don't believe him. He's, you know what I learned on this? I tell the truth with everything, Staxx. I don't play. You know, my whole life is documented. You can read about me everywhere.
Yeah.
You can't refute what I say. It's like anything else. All they gotta do is Google me.
People are gonna come at you regardless of what you say, what you do. There's gonna always be haters, you know.
The best thing to do is not pay attention, Paul. You can't pay attention. You know, they talked about me on a show the other night. Someone called me and told me.
Yeah, they're talking about me on shows left and right, man. My name stays in their mouth, man. You know, so
yeah. Well, I don't know.
More power to them.
Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I
Yeah,
have
it is a
nothing
good
against
thing.
many of the guys, and they
Free
really don't talk
promotion.
about it. You know, I
Free
watched
promotion.
Marbrad Exposed. They talk a kid got on there from Revere trying to badmouth me. I probably slept with his girl or something, so years ago. Probably don't like me.
Probably.
With that same nonsense, we're buying the button and everything. And they just try to discredit you. You know, because I still have enemies up here. You know that. You know, a lot of people were soured when I left. You know.
Did you have a lot of dealings with did you have any dealings with people in Chicago?
I didn't know. Not myself. No.
Or after you got made and went back up to Boston, were you in New York? Were you connected with a lot of New York guys?
I knew some Lucchese guys and so some guys, but I really didn't do business with New York. I personally didn't care about New York. I was 300 miles away. I was doing my own thing. You know, I'll tell you a story. 3 months before we got picked up, we're at a party in South Philly, and Joey had spoken with Pete with the nose, and he told Pete I was up there now. I already had gone to Pete, and I was up there now. And Pete said, "I'll tell Bobby. I'll when he goes around because there's no more commission." He said, "When I go to all the families, I'll let them know to go see Bobby from now on if they need anything in Boston." So that was good. It was left like that, and then 3 months later, we all went away. So it was for naught, But there were a few friends, not many, from New York.
Did you feel like some people were jealous after you got your button?
I would say, yeah, jealous. I would say even more scared. I'd say even more worried, because they knew, that I wanted the brass ring and I was taking it and I took it. See what happened with me, you have to understand something. In the history of the Petriarca family, yes, I was proposed in there once. So in the New England family, I'm not in that history. But I was a boss in Boston. When you look at Philadelphia, I'm not mentioned down there either because why? I'm a Boston guy.
Yeah.
I was the Boston faction of the LCN, of the Bruno Scaffo family of Boston, and I was going to break off and have my own family eventually. And I fell through the cracks somewhere with all of this. I think it's funny. Maybe it's a good thing. I don't know, but yeah, it's really something with the social media and all these documentaries and all this stuff,
Did you have to kick up to Philly after you got made and went to Boston?
Not after I got made. When I became a capo, I made a deal. I sent some money down. There wasn't much, but I sent money down there every month. Well, listen, I'm not Joey's capo. I'm earning, God knows what I was earning in Boston. And believe me, Philly got a tiny fraction of that. Hardly, nothing compared to what I was making. But they weren't greedy either. You have to understand something. When he took me in and straightened my guys out, Joey set up in another area. He's got his flags planted in another area under me. So I think Joey was more interested in that, and our friendship, they were more interested in helping me. And I think that's why they took me in.
Do you think he's still like entrenched into life like he was back then?
I don't know. He was just up visiting because he got off supervised release. So he was just up in Philly visiting. And I talked to some friends I still have down there, and they said he stood real low key. I don't know if there's anything left for Joey in the life. It's not like the 90s. The 90s was like the Wild West of Philly and Boston. That's over with. It's over.
I mean, he's on social media, man. Since when does a boss have a social media and Instagram and all that?
Joey has an Instagram page?
I'm pretty sure he does.
I didn't even know that. What is it under, Joey Molino?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But listen, I think he's pretty much retired.
Possibly, it could be.
I think status, he'll always really be the boss, but the other guys are running the show now. I don't think he wants it anymore.
You got any other stories from any of those other people that you were locked up with, the big names?
Well, who was I with? Nicky Calabrese. I was with him from Chicago. You know, he told me about how bad his brother Frank was, the murders that were committed. I don't want to talk too much about that. That was between me and him. A lot of the other stories I have are related to murders, and I'd rather not talk about them.
Did
Guys
Nick
confided
tell
in
you?
me.
Did Nick tell you about the Spilotro hit?
I think he did tell me about that. That happened in Chicago, not in the cornfield. He did
Yeah.
tell me about that. You know, all these movies, they gotta hype it up, and but a lot of the stuff, like I said, it's not true. In all these movies, I think the best and closest movie I've ever seen of a gangster movie is The Bronx Tale, because I was like Sonny in the neighborhood as a boss.
Yeah.
We didn't wear suits every day in my era, but we still ran the neighborhoods, so it was kind of familiar, that role to me.
Yeah. It's pretty much the most realistic movie. I mean, you take bits and pieces out of each one and put them all together, and you get whatever you come up with, right?
Right.
So, how many is there any factions up north past Boston?
No, not really. I mean, well, we got suburbs 20, 30 miles up the New Hampshire border, and there's some guys up in New Hampshire, but there's nothing like organized crime like in Boston, Connecticut, or Rhode Island, if that's what you're asking. I had a crew up in Wells, Maine, with me for a little while, and actually run by a woman. I won't say her name, but she was a big earner, But we never ventured up too far up there.
How important are the women in when you're running a family? The women that are around you.
Well, the women around us are really gumas. They're not involved in the life. We really don't do that. But there were some women in the neighborhood, and I think Norma passed away. She was a big loan shark, and actually I had to send Paul Tanza one time to help her collect money. He went and got it. So we helped her because she was an old friend of the family. And my girl up in New Hampshire and Maine, where she was working, she had a crew with her. Bunch of nice guys,
Yeah.
And, but they really didn't play any type of role in La Cosa Nostra.
Did the Patriarcha crew have any crews down in Florida?
That I don't know about. I don't think so. But in the 90s, the Patriarcha family was in disarray. People were jockeying for positions. Me and my friends were fighting 3 other factions because I was with the Salemi faction. We were fighting rebel crews up here that were with the old regime from years ago. The older guys that were in prison were backing them up. And that's what we went through up here in the 90s. I don't think that their reach stretched any farther than that, to be honest with you. They're in Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Boston, the Patriarchas.
Yeah, there's a lot of was there a lot of jealousy on your rise up?
Oh yeah, of course there was. Of course there was. I mean, that's always going to happen. Someone else always wants your position, don't want you in that position for their own selfish reasons, and that's what you have to deal with every day.
Yeah, man. So, can you talk about the witness protection program when you were in it?
Well, what do you want to ask about it?
I mean, where do they bring you? They just do they let you pick where you go?
No, they don't. They assign you because they have Woodstock people all over the country. And I know years ago they used to put them in Guam, and I know some people that they were going to send out of the country. So I think they work with other agencies in different countries. They swap prisoners and Woodstock people.
What do they treat you good when you go there, or are they like dicks? Like the
I got treated very well when I got out. They treated me very well. I was with a real good guy. He was a Christian. We got along very well together. They let me publish my first book. They always took care of my health. made sure I went through everything.
Were they worried? Were they worried when you were going to publish the book?
I was in Tennessee when I first published it, my Christian book.
Yeah.
The Last Generation under Alonzo Esposito. And they let me publish the book, but I couldn't put pictures of myself in there, obviously. And he let me publish the book. It was okay. It got okay by the office. And like I said, very good. See, I had experience in building, you know, in business management. So as soon as I got out, I did a 40-day fast. When the fast was completed, I got on the internet. I got a job in a day. Supervisor in a construction company, a manager. So wherever I go, I always did well. And then from there, in Tennessee, I got a big job with Sandusky Cabinets. They're out of Chicago. They had a plant in Tennessee, and I was a quality control manager running the floor. And I had some good jobs down there.
Did any of the people? Did you ever tell any of the people? Like,
well, what happened when I was down there? I signed out. When I signed out, a reporter came down from Boston. My friend Steve Kirkchin and another reporter from the Boston Globe. They did a big article on me.
How did they find out you were signing out?
No, Steve was looking for me. He was a friend of my in-laws. Believe it or not, he approached my wife, my ex-wife, and her uncles, and then finally they told me about it. So I reached out and I grabbed them, and I called them on the phone. I said, I'm in your book. Who are you? What do you mean you're in my book? And I says, I'm Bobby Luisi. So he got all excited. They got on a plane and they came down to interview with me. From there, they did an article on me in England. From England, now the local news picks it up. Now they know they got me living down there. So I had the local news down there.
So now everybody knows who you are.
Yeah. Actually, up on my channel, I got some of the new stuff up there. You know, I took it down and I reposted it under my show. But,
were you at all worried that when they were putting your name out there and your pictures? No?
Not at all. I was never worried. You know, don't get me wrong. Coming back home right after prison, I was more worried about myself in the place that I was mentally than actually of the mob. You know? My thing with this whole thing was, I got to be honest with you. I'm in 14 years. When I go in, my wife buys a condo down in Florida in Sunrise, and everything's going good. And then the money dried up.
Yeah.
Now, my family was afraid for me to come back to Boston. I had no place to stay, and I was getting out with no money. So when they came to me for the artwork, I was glad at that time. I said, yeah, I'll help you with the artwork, and you help me. And they put me in the program.
It's a way out, right?
It was a big help for me. A big help. It got me started.
Did you tell them the artwork's in the basement in Florida?
Yeah, I told them that. Actually, on one of the documentaries, they went down to Bobby Garenti's house, but it was already ripped down. And they were looking for any traces they could find, but they didn't find anything. You know.
Did you ever meet Gas Pipe?
I never met any of those guys.
No.
Nope. My interest was Boston and the Petriarca family. I didn't even really care. I got asked a question on Vlad, and it was funny because I should have known it, but I forgot. You know, 30 years ago, I might have heard this term, and they asked me about the office, and that was on Federal Hill. That's what they called Raymond's headquarters down there was the office. But we had the office in the North End, and we had the doghouse in the North End too, because we're all Boston guys. I never went to Rhode Island. So he asked me the question, and haven't heard that expression for over 30 years because we never used it up there, you know. And that kind of threw me a little when he asked me that question. But it's just funny for me because I was involved in two worlds, you know, and it's hard to keep up with all this and all these questions and the things people ask me, you know, Staxx.
Yeah, when you go out in public, do people recognize you and stuff sometimes?
They come up, they hug me, kiss me. You know what's happening a lot? I'm going in, you know, the supermarkets because I'm a bachelor, so I go do my shopping and laundry and not laundry, dry clean and all that myself, you know. And a lot of people. One time I had the mask on, a black mask, And I asked the kid, do you know what size? Went shopping for my mother, actually, I'll tell you this story. I says, do you know what this stuff is? It was a Mexican thing she wanted. He says, I know who you are. You're Bobby Luisi. I can tell by the voice, the kid said. Ever since then, every time we go out or go somewhere, they recognize me now. And then I got a ton of people I grew up with. I mean, it's nice. They just come up, they hug you, they kiss you. They show you respect, you know. So it's nice being home.
When I went up there, man, it was good time.
Yeah, we had a good time.
Yeah,
we came up. Yeah, we did. We had a nice time up there. Are they asking questions or they're not asking questions?
Yeah, they're asking some questions. Yeah, let's see. A lot of it's talking shit about Anthony and shit.
Oh, I see.
Do you get mob groupies? Someone said Bobby be thirsty, shit like that, you know.
What is
people
that mean?
Are they mean thirsty? I mean you wanting every woman?
Oh, I was bad. What do you mean? Yeah, absolutely. I still do.
Hey man, I'm a bachelor too. I don't have a girlfriend.
Boy, every time I go out, I meet somebody, I get a phone number. That don't mean I go, but you know, there's no why. You know, I'm 60 years old now. There's no more wild one night stands anymore for me. But I'm still I'm still out there. I love the women.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna come up there. We're gonna hang out again, man.
Yeah, no, I know you'll come up.
Yeah, definitely, man. Thank you for coming on, man. I got a bunch of shit I gotta do tonight.
All right.
And I'll definitely have you on again. And we'll plan a trip, man. I'll go up there and we'll go out to dinner again. We'll film it at the place, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone wants these T-shirts, hit me up, and I'll hit me up on Bill Staxx Bill 1979 at gmail.com. Did you hang out with Anthony or Aralata?
One of my best friends.
Did you hang out with him in the life before?
Yes, I did. I've known Anthony from the 90s. I used to have a little crew down in Springfield, and I used to go down there and visit, and Anthony was always there. Anthony's a very close friend of mine. I love the guy. You know, we've been close since the 90s. You know, Anthony became a cop and a boss down in Springfield. I was trying to get Anthony to come with me, but he wanted to stay with the Genovese guys, which I don't blame him. You know, but yeah, very close friend of mine.
Yeah, a lot of people probably would have been mad, right? If he went with you.
Oh yeah,
I bet, man, because you would have had a even stronger team than you had. You know.
Well, that's why I wanted Anthony.
How much do you think you guys were making? How much do you think you guys were making altogether at your height?
That's even hard to say. I don't know. Money was going in and out. You know, it depends how many keys I sold for the week. I think my shy business was taking in about $8,000 a week. That was all clean money. God knows what the drugs were taking in. When I became a boss and I was making all that money, even before I got made, I was a boss up in Boston, and I had a lot of bookmakers with me, so I was putting out a lot of loan shark money at the time. Yeah. You know, 10, 20, 50,000 might come in. I might give a guy 80,000, 50,000, you know.
And you got a lot of other people that are bringing money in too, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like at your height of power in Boston, how many people did you have around you?
I'll say with associates, you know, including the Irish crews, probably about 100.
It was pretty strong.
Yeah, we were strong. Well, we were strong enough to push the Patriarchas aside, so I'll say that.
Did you have any involvement in the big dig in Boston?
No, actually, I almost got involved in that because a friend of mine was a May guy, and he was hauling the dirt. They were buying trucks, and he asked me to come in. with him. That was another good deal. But thank God we all ended up getting pinched after that. I didn't put the money into it, but I almost got involved in it. They didn't want anybody associated or any made guys, in that involved in that.
Yeah, they were really focused on keeping organized crime away from that shit, right?
Yeah, they were. All right.
Any
Any offers? Go ahead. I'm
Comedy
sorry.
Central? Any offers for Comedy Central?
Like Comedy Central? Well,
Yeah, like
Dr. Roz called me 2 years ago after I did that. He wanted me on the show. But I'm a greaser. I want the money because Comedy Central paid me.
yeah.
And they offered me the same thing Comedy Central did in the beginning. They'll put me up in a hotel. They'll fly me there. And I said, no, I'm not interested, which I wish I did at the time. And they came at me. They wanted me to do reality shows, Left Field Production, a few other production companies. So
Are you still interested? Still interested
I
in
don't know
doing?
now. I'm not in touch with them anymore. They had all my old information in Tennessee, Alonzo Esposito, all that. So I'm really not in touch with them anymore.
Would you be open to doing a reality show if it came?
It would have to be how it was based, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So what's the question?
Ask him if he knew the Philadelphia cop turned mobster Ron Privet.
Previty is the guy that ratted on me. Joey had me doing business with Previty. Previty was an ex-cop.
Yeah, he was a cop, right?
Yeah, he was a piece of garbage. Stafford made him a made guy, and then Joey made him a capo so he could come and talk to me and the other capos. Meanwhile, he's wearing a wire on all of us. This is why I tell you, the stories I hear on social media are so ridiculous. Ronnie was introduced to all my guys as La Cosa Nostra, unfortunately, and he found out who all the made guys were up in Boston. That was a mess, and they had me sit with an FBI agent. Ronnie had me with an FBI agent. The agents told me when they got me, they said, Bobby, we couldn't even come near you. We had no way to get you, and this piece of shit got me.
I was all offer my opinion and guidance to everyone. Did you have any dealings with the Atlantic City casinos or anything like that?
No, I didn't. But I had every comp card from every casino down there because I used to gamble.
Oh, you used to go when you would go down there?
Oh, I went to the casinos all the time in Atlantic City.
Yeah, I haven't ever gone to Atlantic City. I'd like to go.
I liked it. I tell you, I really did. I used to stay in Atlantic City and then drive to Philly a lot of times. I think like down there, I liked it.
Down in Philly, Atlantic City, isn't it a separate crew that stays in Atlantic City and then Philly?
Well, you got to remember, Nicky Scarfo was down in that area when he was the boss. He had his hand in the casinos down there. And so that was always belonged to the Philly guys.
Yeah, he got like banished to Atlantic City before it was like
really so that was his crew down there. Nicky's crew was down there. Nicky Scarfo.
Someone says, Lexi Johnson says, Staxx, ask him about CT Costa Nostra business. Did you have dealings in Connecticut?
Yeah, in Connecticut? Yeah. I had a crew in Connecticut. They were out of Vernon, and there were other guys down there too. There were some Gambino guys, a few guys down there. But I had a pretty good crew down there with Bobby Gentile, and he had some young Turks under him down there. And Bobby was a main guy on my crew. I was going to make a few of his guys and make him a captain or the consigliere of my family.
Do you know anyone in the Memphis Mafia?
There really is no Memphis Mafia. I was down there with some of the guys that I heard that they were in the Memphis Mafia, but that pretty much broke up and they became. I actually worked for one of them in one of his car lots. Nice people. Guy was a real guy. I'm not going to say his name because I worked at several car lots down in Tennessee, so I'm not going to say the guy's name. But really nice guy. They made their money with power and drugs and everything else.
Can Bobby explain what areas in and around Springfield were his and he had a piece of?
I'm not going to say any area in Springfield was mine. I had guys down there, though, working for me. See, there's a difference because Al Bruno was down there. Skyball, when I first knew when I was a kid, they were down there. I didn't interfere with the Springfield guys were doing. They were running that area from there down into Connecticut. And I never touched any of their things and didn't want to, but I wanted my own crew down there to plant the flag down there, which I ended up getting pinched, and I didn't end up straightening those guys out in Springfield.
If you didn't end up getting arrested, what would have been your plan once you started getting more power up there? What would?
Well,
what
I
would
had the power. I had the power. There was no doubt about that. My next plan was supposed to be the deal I made with Joey. I was going to stay with Joey for 2 years as a capo, which that's pretty much tradition, which you have to do, you know. And then I was going to break off and start my own family.
You think New York would have had a problem with that?
You think I would have cared? You got to remember something. Once I got introduced to some New York guys and the Patriarcha guys, all that shit goes out the window, bro. What are they going to do? Come and get me?
Yeah.
You know, what's the worst they can say? They'll recognize them. I won't recognize you. I'm 300 miles away. I can't give a shit.
That's how it goes, man. I mean, the people that hate me, I don't care. I don't give a shit. But, man, thank you for joining me. And definitely have you on again. And I can't wait to go up there and, you know, go out and have some of the food up there and meet some people. It was fun last time, man.
Yeah, we had a good time. Listen, thanks for having me on. I hope I answered your questions okay for you and some of the questions that we got. And remember, everybody, I'll be live tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, the Bobby Luisi Show. You know, tune in, subscribe, hit the bell.
Are you having a guest on tomorrow?
Yes, Frank D'Amato. He was from the Cavalcanti family. He grew up with Joe Gallo in the Gallo family in New York. We'll be talking about that tomorrow night. He was on my show before. The show did well. And I want him on the live show so people could call in and ask questions. Because they love when the New York guys come on. You know.
Yeah, I'm going to have him on again, too.
You had Frank on?
Yeah.
He's a great guy, Frank. He's really a good guy. I did Comedy Central with him.
I know.
Yeah,
it was funny, man.
Yeah, I love Frank. Good people, man. Good people.
Yeah, definitely. So you make sure you guys hit the like, subscribe, and notification bell so you can get my videos every time they drop. Till next time, man.
All right, my brother.